Hi, everybody. We are still taking a deep dive into fan culture with our trend article. We're on day 2 of it. And I don't know about you, Mike, but I was definitely one of those kids who had my fans up on the wall. I had posters of all sorts of fans, and I have to embarrassingly
posters
say,
of fans? You had fans?
Not fans, but the ones that I was a
idols.
fan. Yes, my idols.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
And that would have been Duran Duran and Wham at my time. Yeah.
I see. Simon Le Bon and George Michael were so dreamy.
They were. And so we put, posters or little pictures that you cut out of magazines.
Yep.
And that was the beginning of my showing dedication as a kid to it. And I lived actually in Taiwan for a couple of years as a teenager. And I have to say, oshikatsu is not necessarily a new thing. I remember in the 80s that people would go to the stationery shop and they would get their bookmarks. And their bookmarks would have all their fan favorites. That's where I get my Duran Duran and Paul Young bookmarks.
No, he was dreamy too.
He was dreamy too. Yeah, so I don't know about you. Did you do this as well?
I might have had a Madonna poster lying around somewhere. Yeah,
yes.
I have to admit. And then later on, as my taste changed, so did my posters change. And the posters from when you were 14 were so embarrassing when you were 16. So, of course, people do change. But young people do have those wonderful passions for things. Their parents and older folks might go and roll their eyes a little bit. But when you're young, it is absolutely important. And it can be a really... As we mentioned yesterday, it can be a part of your social life. It can be something that gives you meaning and belonging in your social group, in your class or wherever. And it's also just fun. It's fun, Kids have a lot of pressure with all the studying they have to do and always trying to, get the best grades and do the right thing. So it's nice when they can have something that they can really have fun with. So we're going to be talking about your oshi, and we're, of course, continuing our deep dive into fan culture. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what it does psychologically, some of the things that people get from it. And then I guess at one point we might have to confess our current favorite characters, or be they manga or anime. Do you have one?
Oh, no.
I have one.
You do?
I can share it later on.
You can share it later on.
I feel a bit like I would call myself a poser. Like I'm kind of faking my oshi. I'm not really fully dedicated the way I should be.
You don't have the backpack going.
No, but I did spend some money on it. So that's what I think gives me a bit of a few honest credentials. I'm not completely making this up, but we'll get into all that and so much more in our article. So let's check it out now.
Let's listen to the whole thing one time first. What's your oshi? A deep dive into fan culture. Why is oshikatsu so appealing? First, it's like a warm hug for your emotions. In our increasingly digital world, holding a physical item like a signed album or a plush toy feels meaningful. These real, touchable items offer emotional support and psychological companionship that virtual interactions cannot provide. Second, it builds a sense of belonging. When you're cheering at a concert or chatting with friends about your oshi, you're part of a community that shares your passion. Beyond emotional fulfillment, oshikatsu can also help fans pick up practical skills. They often acquire abilities in graphic design while creating promotional banners, master video editing techniques for tribute compilations, and develop event management expertise through organizing offline gatherings. What starts as doing a fun project for your oshi ends up developing real-world abilities that can come in handy at school or even in your future job. Of course, there are some risks to be aware of. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement and spend too much money or time. Always think about your budget and stay sensible. Another trap is mixing up fantasy and reality. Loving a fictional character or distant idol is great, but keep your feet on the ground. Most importantly, respect others. When someone says something negative, it's natural to want to fight back and defend your oshi, but that shouldn't turn into bullying others who have different favorites or opinions. Loving your oshi should never mean hurting someone else. So, what's your oshikatsu story? Are you pinning badges on your bag or sketching your favorite character late at night? Dive into this colorful world, but keep it balanced and kind. Your Oshi would be proud.
All right, so our title is the same and our topic is the same. What's your Oshi? A deep dive into fan culture. Let's get into some of the real interesting stuff here. It says, why is oshikatsu so appealing? And of course, as we say oshikatsu, you can really replace that for lots of things. As Leah said, in the 80s, it was Duran Duran and Wham, or Madonna and Cyndi Lauper. Maybe for me, an earlier generation would have been the Beatles. I think even Frank Sinatra had, 19 or 18, 12, whatever-year-old girls screaming for him in the 1940s. The Bobby Soxers, they were first called. So this is not a new thing, but it is definitely taking on new forms, and it might just seem a little bit more present and maybe a little bit less kind of embarrassing. Yes. I think back in the old days, it was like, these young girls filled with hormones, loving these handsome young boys Presley, and that kind of thing. But now it's something for everyone, boys, girls, and of course we see people in their 20s and 30s who are still engaging in it and getting a lot of pleasure from it. So why is it appealing? That's a really good question to look at this in all its shapes and forms. It says, first, it's like a warm hug for your emotions. Oh, how nice is that? It can be a rough and tumble world out there, especially for teenagers in junior and senior high, going through schooling, going through puberty, going through adolescence and all that. They might need a warm hug once in a while, so it just makes you feel good, in other words. At the end of a bad day, you can go home and, sit there and hold on to your favorite plush toy or whatever, and it might lift your mood a little bit, maybe as you watch your favorite episode of their cartoon or something like that. And it says, in our increasingly digital world, holding a physical item like a signed album or a plush toy feels meaningful. Absolutely. We do live in an increasingly or a more and more digital world where more and more stuff isn't really stuff you can actually hold. It's in the cloud, it's online, it's apps on your phone, or movies you've downloaded, or songs that are on your playlist on Spotify or whatever. So more and more of our things aren't really things. They aren't physical items. So that's why holding a physical item, like a signed album or a plush toy, feels meaningful. Here I say this as a guy with thousands of books, thousands of CDs, and thousands of records at home. I don't have a digital world, so I totally understand this.
But these real touchable items, as you said, these touchable things, they offer emotional support and psychological companionship that virtual interactions cannot provide.
Definitely.
Here, virtual is just talking about, things that are digital, things that are up in the cloud, things that we cannot physically touch. It's a virtual world. It's a world that's being created online. And those virtual interactions are those interactions that we're doing online, maybe through social media or through, website development or something along these lines, or going on the web and searching stuff. Those are virtual interactions. They're not, going into the library and sitting down beside somebody and talking about a book, which would be a real interaction, a face-to-face interaction. It's a little bit different. Second, it builds a sense of belonging. Belonging is I love that sense of belonging. It's almost like a warm hug as well. A sense of belonging means a sense of being part of a group.
Yeah.
So if you join a sports team, you often have a sense of belonging. You are a member of the team. You're one of the guys. If you join a D&D club and you start to play D&D every Friday night for 12 hours, you have a sense of belonging. You're one of those guys. You're one of the members. You belong.
Companionship, friendship, team membership, all that kind of good stuff.
When you're cheering at a concert or chatting with friends about your Oshi, you're part of a community that shares your passion. And that's what helps with being that sense of belonging too, is when other people share your passion, share the things that you love, whether it's your Oshi or just the being part of that group going out and doing these things. Beyond emotional fulfillment, oshikatsu can also help fans pick up practical skills. So we're moving into, it's not just this whole virtual world playing around or spending a lot of money on things. You might actually learn some skills that you can use in your day-to-day life in some way. And that's something that comes beyond emotional fulfillment. So when you feel fulfillment, you feel satisfied, you feel happy. You feel complete. A lot of time we talk about emotional fulfillment in a relationship. If you're not finding emotional fulfillment in a relationship, you might need to move on, or you might need to limit your contact, go LC with someone who is being kind of abusive because they're not giving you fulfillment. They're not making you feel good about yourself or feel satisfied.
Absolutely. So that's the emotional side of it. And there are other benefits that you might find helpful in other areas of life. It says beyond emotional fulfillment, the emotional stuff, Oshikatsu can also help fans pick up practical skills. So fulfillment is basically doing things that make you feel good, that make you feel like you've used your time well, you've used your energy well. You know, if you put in a hard day's work and you can actually see the results of your energy and your effort, that gives you a sense of fulfillment. A lot of people who work with their hands, they kind of like that. You know, if you're just crunching numbers on a computer or using AI to do half your job, well, you've done your job. Congratulations, you won't get fired. But there's something about building something or painting something or doing something, you know, before there was nothing and now I made this, that kind of thing, right? So that's the emotional fulfillment, just the feeling of good that you get from doing something. And Oshikatsu, though, can also help fans pick up practical skills. You can actually learn skills like painting or designing or sewing or things like that. I mean, I know a lot of those cosplayers, they actually learn to sew to make their own costumes because they're very expensive to buy. And of course, if you can sew, you can make your own, and maybe then you can earn a bit of money by making costumes for other people. So this is something that they can actually, you know, develop skills and learn new things, new ways of doing things. It says they often acquire abilities in graphic design. There you go, while creating promotional banners, master video editing techniques for tribute compilations, and develop event management expertise through organizing offline gatherings, all of which could be translated into the real world, into jobs and skills that you can use to, you know, to get a job or whatever. Graphic design, we talked about illustrations yesterday. Graphic is very similar. Things that you look at, things that in general different from illustrations might also give information. So if we talk about charts, you know, those bar charts and pie charts where they show statistics and numbers in a visual way, that's a graphic. But it could also just be some design. Graphic design is something that is used in most products that we have. Just the color, the layout, the style of writing that they have to give it a certain feeling, all of that stuff, which of course now is all computer-based. That's a skill that they can have. And they might create these while making promotional banners. A banner is something that you'll hang outside in public generally, usually with writing on it, information on it. It might be a temporary thing that's just kind of tied up on a wall or between a couple of trees. And it will have, you know, new event, and it will tell you where the information is or what the dates are. You might hang a banner inside your home that says, "Happy birthday, Bob," for Bob's birthday or something. And of course, when we go around stores and around trade exhibitions, you know, they won't have permanent signs that are kind of fixed to a wall. They might have a banner that they can put up, use for a few days, and then take down or change or something. So you can use your graphic design to design these types of things. You might master or become very skilled at, become very good at video editing techniques for tribute compilations, things that you can use to make your own YouTube videos or even, you know, get a job making videos for a television production company or something, and develop event management expertise. You can learn how to manage things. You can put on events. You can organize offline gatherings. I got to find a place. I got to find tables and chairs. I got to get the food and the decorations and arrange for the DJ to be there. And all of that, again, could go into, you know, PR things or big product launches in a company. So these could be real world skills.
And what starts as doing a fun project for your Oshi ends up developing real world abilities that can come in handy at school or even in your future job. Let's take a break right now and listen to our Chinese teacher.
听众朋友大家好，我是安娜。我们昨天带大家看一下这个现在最流行的一个趋势，就是Oshikatsu推活的这种运动，也不能说运动啦，因为中文的运动好像怪怪，推活的这种潮流跟文化，那每个人都会有自己一个 Oshi 啊，所以今天就要来探讨为什么会有这样子的一个 fan culture， 一个这样子的一个粉丝的一种运动或者是活动或者是潮流。 在这篇文章当中，因为要说明原因，我们就要来看一下因果说明文。在英文当中的段落写作啊，通常段落的第一句、第二句都会是主题句。这主题句呢，也就是它会告诉你这整段要讲的重点是什么。那因为我们要谈很多原因嘛，所以这时候就要文意很清楚，重点分明，就会用到很多转成词语，一些副词，例如第一个原因 first， 第二个原因 second。像文章当中的第一句、第一段啊，就是这样。第一句它虽然用个问句，但是其实算是一个 rhetorical questions 嘛，这个比较修饰性的问题，其实它就是要告诉你おしかつ的原因有哪些。所以接着我们来看到第二句，一开始的 first 就点出第一个原因。那这个第一个原因后面看到的 warm hug for your emotions， 关键字是因为情绪相关。为什么要跟情绪相关呢？因为接下来在第二句当中提到的 digital world， 我们在数位世界当中，如果什么东西都是虚拟的，但是我们可以实体的 physical item， 拿着一些实际我们可以碰得到的东西，其实对我们来说就是一种情感的支持。所以第四句最后面 emotional support 这两个字也很重要，情感上的一个支持。那么接下来我们来看到第五句咯，当然一开始有一个 second， 就像我们刚刚讲的重点要分明，所以第二个原因到底是什么啊？原来是因为如果我们参加这个推活的活动的话呢，它会让我们有一种归属感。在英文当中什么什么感通常会说 a sense of 什么什么，这个什么什么的归属叫做 belonging。 belong 本来是一个动词嘛， belong to someone 属于某人，所以这个归属感是 a sense of belonging。 为什么呢？因为最后面来到第六句最后面的地方，我们可以把 a community 画起来，它是先行词， that 到句尾左右括号，限定用法的关系子句，分享你的热情的这个 community 有一个社群，所以你会有一个 a sense of belonging， 所谓的这种归属感。所以来到了第二句啊，我们第二段当中，我们刚刚承接着上面说情感上的满足啊，手上有实体物品啦，然后我们有一个 sense of belonging。 其实除了这些情感上的满足之外，推活还可以帮助大家培养很多实际的技能呢。在第二段的第一句，我们先把第一个字的 beyond 把它圈起来。我们说除了什么之外还有经常用的是 besides， 但是 beyond 这个介系词本身就有超越，除此之外还有更多的意思，所以在英文当中常会看到 beyond 来取代 besides。 而至于第一句最后面的 practical skills， 这些所谓的实用技巧包括哪些呢？例如在第二句当中 abilities in graphic design， 像一些平面设计能力啊，然后还有为了要剪辑影片啊，还有 video editing techniques 剪辑影片能力啊，甚至还有 event management expertise 活动管理的专长。所以这些都是真实生活当中的能力。我们第二段的第三句特别来看一下，在中间后面的地方 real world abilities 这边可以划线，它是先行词， that 到句尾则是限定用法的关系子句。这些真实世界的能力啊，在职场上啊，学校当中，生活当中都可以用得到哦。
All right, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll be right back. Coming back into this next paragraph, we see, of course, we've talked about all the good things up above, but there are some risks. There are some things that can be dangerous that we need to be aware of. What could be dangerous? Well, it's easy to get caught up in the excitement. It just means like you're no longer thinking independently. You're like, oh my gosh, there's an Oshi over there. I'm going to run to it. And you're joining everybody and running in that same direction. You're caught up in the moment. You're caught up in the excitement. And it can cause you to spend too much money or time. So if you get really, 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 really dedicated to your Oshi, you might have all of their fan information in your system. You might know everything about them. You might, if they're a real person, if they're a celebrity, you might go to all of their fan meet and greets. You might travel to see this person somewhere in the world. And this can get really expensive. And when you get caught up in something, you kind of lose track. Oftentimes, I got too caught up in my schoolwork and I lost track of time. we'll often put those two together, caught up in and lose track of. I got too caught up in this movie I was watching and lost track of how late it was getting, and I just stayed up way, way, way too late. Always think about your budget and stay sensible. So don't go out and just keep blowing money. You got to let yourself know, okay, wait a minute. I've got a budget. I only have X amount of dollars. I can spend this much this month, and I need to stay sensible. I need to stay smart. I need to stay logical. I need to use my brain instead of only thinking with my emotions and my heart that wants to buy every Oshi thing in the world. You need to be sensible. You need to be logical.
Yeah, never let it kind of take over your life and, you end up running up credit card bills on crazy Oshi expenditures and things like that, getting loans from banks so you can fly off to another convention. Another trap is mixing up fantasy and reality. Yes, these are fictional characters. So do not mix up fantasy, this world of characters and fictional characters and the things that they do. Don't mix that with reality. I think one that might be, common, but one that we often hear of is, someone who's in love with sort of a perfect prince or princess. They're always handsome and smart and brave. And then you meet someone in your own life who likes you and you're like, yeah, but you're not the prince. You're not rich and handsome and live in a castle and have long, delicate fingernails or something like that. Like these characters do. You're not a pirate king. You're not as good as Luffy from One Piece. Get out of here, you boring guy. But I love you. But I don't care. You're not as good as my fantasy character. Fantasy being sort of something from a dream world, not reality. It's something from a dream. It's something that does not exist in real life. And yes, many of these characters are too handsome, too perfect to be real people. So don't mix that up. It says loving a fictional character or distant idol is great, but keep your feet on the ground. I mean, the same thing as loving a movie star or pop star is great, but keep your feet on the ground, right? Not everyone in the world can be as handsome as who's someone handsome as Ryan Gosling, and not every girl can be as wonderful and as fascinating as Taylor Swift or something with long blonde hair. So keep your feet on the ground. Realize that is the fantasy world. You're a fan, which is great, but you can't cut people out of your life or judge people harshly because they don't measure up to the high or even artificial standards of these fictional characters or these famous people. Most importantly, respect others. Yes, absolutely. Don't be one of those, like a sports fan who gets in a fight because the Boston Red Sox are terrible and the Yankees are better, and they start calling each other's names or swearing at each other or something. And when someone says something negative, it's natural to want to fight back and defend your Oshi, but that shouldn't turn into bullying others who have different favorites or opinions. Yes, don't lose your mind over this kind of thing. If someone says that your favorite character is kind of silly or childish or whatever, but you still love them, then it's natural to want to fight back and defend your Oshi because you might feel that they're kind of attacking you personally as well. But of course, they're not necessarily. They're just saying, I don't really like that character, and that's fine. We're all allowed our favorite opinion. If your favorite burger is from Burger King and someone says, I prefer a Big Mac, you don't say, well, you're stupid and I hate you and I'll never talk to you again because it's just a hamburger. Well, these are just characters. So, don't kind of have too much of your personality wrapped up in it that if someone, knocks them or makes fun of them, you feel personally insulted. And also don't bully others. Don't be the person doing the insulting of the other characters. Everyone is entitled and everyone really should have their own opinions because otherwise, if we all like the same thing equally, gosh, that would be super boring.
Yeah, so loving your Oshi should never mean hurting someone else, right? You might want to defend your Oshi. You might want to stand up for them and say, he's the best. But you don't need to be mean when you do it.
I agree, but never say anything bad about Pikachu.
Okay. So what's your Oshikatsu story? I like this ending, right? We're talking to our readers. We're reaching out to you, out there in the distance and saying, what do you like? Think about it. What is your Oshikatsu story? How long have you been dedicated to this Oshikatsu process where you're collecting and making and getting all these really cool little critters out there or figurines that show your Oshi and show how much you love your Oshi and putting them on display? Are you pinning badges on your bag or sketching your favorite character late at night? So sketching here is talking about a lot of times just taking a pencil and very quickly, drawing something. It doesn't have to be super detailed, but hey, if you're a really good artist, you never know. You might be a great sketch artist, someone who can really make sure that the character that you love is coming to life on the paper. Dive into this colorful world. We're still talking to our readers. Dive into this colorful world, but keep it balanced and kind. So we want you to go out and enjoy your oshikatsu, but don't forget to stay sensible. Don't blow all your money. Keep it balanced. Don't spend all your days and nights sketching your character, and be kind. So don't be mean to other people because they don't like your oshi or because they say something nasty about your oshi. And why would you do that? Well, because your oshi would be proud if you did this.
Yes, I'm not sure my oshi would be proud, though. Now it's time to my oshi would be Gudetama. Do you know the little egg character? Yeah, so my oshi I think would be too lazy to be proud, which is part of the reason I discovered that Gudetama was created by fans when the company, I think it's the same company as Sanrio. Yeah, it's the same company as Hello Kitty. They put out a call for a new character. And this was like the dumbest character they received. And they're like, that's the best one. Yeah. So I have to say, though, as an oshikatsu, I'm pretty bad. I did spend money on it. I spent 30 NT on a bunch of line stickers.
Oh, my.
Which I still use to this day. And I think I have a little Gudetama, little plastic character somewhere on a bookshelf at home. So there you go. But so I don't think my oshi would be proud. He would just not care and he'd say, I'm tired.
I wonder what our Chinese teacher's oshikatsu is.
Us.
Oh, well, let's find out right now.
No, hopefully not.
好，来到了第3段啊，通常文章都会有一个转折，点出一些重点。例如在这里第3段的第一句，关键字就是 risks， 也会有一些风险，所以我们要列举这些风险，又来到列举的用法啊。来到了第2句，虽然我们没有看到 first， 但是顺着文意来说，它当然就是第一个风险。哪个风险呢？在第2句最后面 too much time or money， 可能会花太多钱或会花太多的时间，那怎么办呢？第3句最后面 stay sensible， 你要保持理智，所以想想看自己的 budget， 我的预算到底在哪里，我有没有时间来做这些事情 stay sensible。再来到了第4句前面的 another trap， 又是一个列举的用法哦。因为这个风险第一个是什么啊？另外一个是什么？如果在列举当中，列举的东西超过2个，从3个以上开始数的时候，第2个就是另一个，叫做 another。所以另外一个呢，就是我们可能会分不清 fantasy and reality。我们或许会觉得，好像这个偶像角色 character 是真人吗？其实不是这样子的。所以我们一定要如何啊？接下来的第5句最后面 keep your feet on the ground， 保持实际这种心态。最后面的来到第6句 most importantly， 这个转成词语一定要把它框起来。我们列举到最后可能不会用 last， 但是最重要的是 respect others， 一定要尊重别人。因为大家对于喜欢东西跟不喜欢的这个角色啊，大家会有自己的看法。所以最后面第4段第3句最后结尾的地方keep it balanced and kind， 除了说时间空间啊，这个金钱啊，时间要保持理智之外呢，对别人也要互相尊敬，大家都有喜欢跟不喜欢的这一些 oshi。 那么这2天的这个主题呢是非常实用的哦，希望大家都学到了。我是安娜，我们下次见。
All right, guys, for English Digest, I'm Leah.
And I'm Mike.
And I hope you have your oshi day.